Looks like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Say that for that. Just a name, just a coincidence. So, do you like that singer guy?
Why don't you change your name?
Well, why should I change? He's the one who sucks.
Yeah, there you go. What doesn't suck? Orange and blue today. That's right. YouTube, are you ready for a great show? A great day. The big show. It is OBT and it is a BFD. I'm starting out that way. It's a Monday, Mace. I'm feeling it because, well, the Broncos have not yet moved up in the 2024 NFL draft. And you and I get a ton of questions. What's it going to cost? I usually don't answer those questions because there's a thing called Google and you can go Jimmy Johnson trade value chart and then figure it out. But what's it going to cost, Mace, if and when the Broncos do move up in the draft?
I'm not sure the Jimmy Johnson model or the Rich Hill model or any of the other models out there accurately reflect what we're talking about to move up, because historically, moving up in the first round for a quarterback means you're paying something more than the draft capital involved with it.
Yeah, there's a premium.
Yes. The quarterback premium is a very real thing. It's been a very real thing for a long time now. So that's why, I mean, you can tell people to go Google the Jimmy Johnson model. I'm just not sure that it's going to lead to an accurate answer. And I think, you know, we had fun with the draft simulators on Friday. And
you had fun with breaking the simulators on Friday.
Yeah, but I think in terms of the trades they'll accept, they do go by the actual models that are there, when I don't necessarily think that reflects what reality is going to look like.
Yeah, the reality is going to look much different because I happen to have the Jimmy Johnson trade value chart pulled up in front of me, and the difference between the Cardinals at 4, they're at 1,800 points for the value of that. The Broncos are at 12. That's worth 1,200 points. Well, what's 600 points worth of difference? That is the equivalent of the 31st overall pick, a late first rounder. So technically, you could say, here's 12 and here's another first rounder and be fine. But there is a quarterback premium, and one first rounder and then next year's first rounder, that's not going to do it.
No, and we can go back. We have that graphic, right? The Trey Lance trade graphic available. That's the one from 2021 that you kind of have to use the model here, and then you probably have to add to it because that was going from 3 to 11. Broncos trying to go potentially from 4 to 12, right? So even though it's 8 spots, it's still going to cost you more to get to 3 from 11 than 4 from 12.
Right.
And that, of course, involved 3 first-round picks, 2021, 2022, 2023, and a third-round selection in 2022.
Yeah, it's going to look a little bit different for the Denver Broncos. But you know what my answer is when people ask me, what's it going to cost, Mace?
Yeah.
You know what my answer is?
What?
I don't care. And yes, there's a number 4 first rounders. Yes, there's a number where all of a sudden I care and I say that's too much. Our guy Joey, by the way, I think he emailed that graphic to you, Joey. I was going to text you, but anyway, our guy Joey on his short was like, "Oh, it's too much. Don't move up." I'm on the opposite end, maybe the Sean Payton end of that, where it's like, you know what? I'm going to be aggressive, and if that means you give up a first rounder this year, 12, and then 2025 and 2026. Yeah, fine. Did you find a guy? Is he a guy you love? If you love him, 3 first rounders, whatever.
Yeah. Now, did that trade work out for the 49ers? No. But here's the other thing. They were able to make it work for 2 reasons. Number one, success in the draft in previous years. So they had a nice reservoir of talent to where they could miss those picks and they could be okay regardless. The other thing, of course, is a year later, they use a 7th round pick on Brock Purdy.
Right.
He proves to be a perfect system fit, and that lottery ticket ends up paying off. They got unbelievably lucky because most teams, if you wipe out their their first round draft capital for 3 years, you're dealing with the repercussions of that for nearly a decade. I mean, there it is. I mean, 3 years of first rounders and the 3rd round pick for somebody who, I mean, really you have to say right now is a bust. Now, that being said, the quarterbacks for whom you might be trading up, there is considerably more data on them, even though, let's say it's JJ McCarthy or Drake May. Both are multi-year starters at high level Power 5 conferences. You're not talking about Trey Lance, who had one season at North Dakota State, and then that was it. He had what? They had like that showcase game that they had one game in the 2020 season, as it were, because FCS didn't play until the spring of 2021. So North Dakota State kind of arranged for one game basically to showcase Trey Lance.
And he wasn't real good in that one game.
Yeah.
The previous year, he was exceptional. And in the one game to showcase the skill set, it was like Oklahoma A&M, who I can't remember exactly who it was. But in that one game, Lance wasn't real great.
Central Arkansas.
Sorry to Oklahoma.
Let me just read the numbers from that game.
Okay.
15 of 30 for 149 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. He also ran 15 times for 143 yards, 9.5 yards carry, 2 touchdowns. He was considerably more effective at running the football than passing the football.
Yes, but
in that
you knew
game.
that about him. You wanted to see more passing, and well, you know what I'm going to say to that performance.
He had 318 college attempts. 300.
Where's that rank on the Bill Parcells? Like, you need this many numbers of this many starts. Like 318 is, well, half a season for these guys in college that are slinging it all around the place. So yeah, you've got more information, you've got more data.
I mean, Drake May, for example, 952 attempts.
So 3
at
times.
North Carolina, literally just under 3 times as many attempts as Trey Lance had, and at a higher level.
Right.
That's another thing too.
Yeah. So this whole worried about moving up too soon, I don't think you can move up soon enough. Honestly, I'm a little bit surprised it hasn't happened yet. I know some people have commented like, "Oh, when's it going to happen?" I'm like, well, the opportunity was opened last week after the owners' meetings. This week, the opportunity is still open, and I'm still concerned about the Minnesota Vikings hovering around. And if they're able to beat you to the punch, now you're paying more to go up to a spot that isn't as good as 4, because you probably can't get to 3, again, depending on what you believe coming out of New England. And there's several different things coming out of New England.
Yeah. First of all, like that trade that happened, that eventually ended up being for Trey Lance. You want to know when that trade took place? March 26th of 2021. So here we are considerably closer to the draft than that point.
Yeah.
Is this why you're getting nervous? Even though the Trey Lance trade objectively failed, is this why you're getting nervous?
I don't think
maybe
I'm
the Broncos
nervous.
won't
I
make
would
a deal?
just like to know that they've made the move to ensure that you're in line.
Is
right?
is that like the guarantee on the box? It makes you sleep well at night?
It's like getting your tickets early to the movie, right? We're gonna go see. Well, it's not like Marvel movies have been good anymore, but we got our tickets to Endgame, right? But we got our tickets. We're gonna be there at the midnight premiere. So yeah, we got to stand in line because other people got their tickets too. But right now, you don't have your tickets if you're the Broncos. You don't know if you're going to see that movie. You don't know if you're going to see that quarterback. Are you going to have to settle for Bo Nix that's in fact what you do? So I think there's forces at play, but the one force that remains constant and the winner will be Sean Payton and what he wants to do.
Yeah, another trade to look back on, even though the terms weren't the same. When the Jets moved up in 2018 to take Sam Darnold, they went from 6 to 3, moving up with the Indianapolis Colts. Cease, that trade happened on St. Patrick's Day in 2018. So we're actually at a point now where, I mean, could it happen anytime? Yeah, it could. But there's also an increasing likelihood that this thing waits until the draft. And oh, by the way, maybe the Broncos can't make a deal unless Minnesota chimes in. And the by the way on that is Minnesota has not just the number 11 overall pick, which is higher than the Broncos by 1 spot, but they also have the number 23 overall pick in that trade with Houston. So they can offer the Arizona Cardinals, likely the team with which you're trading up in this scenario, they can offer the Cardinals more in terms of first round draft capital than the Broncos can.
Yes, more right now. But as we've discussed on this program and others, like if you're the Cardinals, do you want to be set up for the future or do you want to bunch of stuff right now? Arizona's not going anywhere right now. They have Kyler Murray, and Jonathan Gannon was he emphasized how much he believed in Kyler Murray, But for me, it's like, I think the Broncos can actually offer a better deal, maybe the same amount of first rounders, right? But if you're Arizona, okay, you get everything now. You're not doing anything now. Can't beat San Francisco now. You're not going anywhere now. If you're the Broncos and you're Gannon, because Kyler Murray is not Gannon's guy, even though he backs him, you can say, okay, give this year to Kyler, get the Broncos number 12, whatever. And then if Kyler Murray's not the guy, you can move on, and you got the Broncos first round pick next year that you can use to move up or maneuver for your new quarterback.
Okay, in theory, if they're looking toward next year, why wouldn't the Broncos?
Why wouldn't the Broncos? Because the Broncos have been down so long, and I think Sean Payton has a bit of impatience with him. Last year, this is my opinion, and we've kind of talked about this, but we can chop it up on this show. I think last year was Sean Payton's kind of the lay of the land. I want to see what you got, but I want to do it my way. And his way comes faster. You know, I'll bring up the Marcus Davenport trade, another trade that didn't work. I can't find the date of when it happened, Mace, but that's a bold, aggressive move for a University of Texas San Antonio pass rusher.
I think that was during the draft.
It was during the draft.
Because it was Marcus Davenport falling to a certain point.
Yes.
When the Saints trade up and sacrificed a future first rounder to Green Bay to make that trade.
Right. And a guy that didn't work out for them. So for me, it's like Sean Payton's already got the lay of the land. If you're Jonathan Gannon, you still have Kyler Murray. So you can kind of see it again and see how it works. And if it doesn't work, then you can move on. The Broncos have already moved on from Russell Wilson. So they're in the need a quarterback right now sweepstakes.
Yeah. That's fair. It's just interesting to kind of explore that and think, okay, would the Broncos be willing to be more patient? My guess is not. And also don't forget, just a reminder, you're making this deal, if you do make the deal, also looking at the landscape next year for quarterbacks, which does not appear to be as deep. Now, inevitably, yeah, you see like
guys will rise up.
Yeah, you'll see a Joe Burrow type, I'm not saying the player's going to be as good as Joe Burrow, but there's always somebody that does shoot up. Mm-hmm. Part of the reason for that is everyone needs a quarterback.
Yes. Yeah.
There are not enough of them. I wouldn't say everyone needs them, but you're always looking, and there are more teams that want to improve at quarterback probably than ones that are really happy.
Yes.
Complete, or I should say, like, not just happy, but completely content. Like, would you call Arizona completely content at quarterback?
No.
Probably not, even though Kyler Murray, could still be the guy. Would you say the Rams are completely content? No, because you're starting
Stafford's
to look over the horizon to what happens after Matthew Stafford. And of course, he is an injury waiting to happen, unfortunately, here headed into year 16 of his career. Oh my gosh, year 16 for Matthew Stafford.
It's been a long time.
Time flies, man.
It does for sure. If you're the Broncos, get in that quarterback thing now. And I'm going to bring up something that I don't think should be part of the evaluation, but I believe is. Mm-hmm. And that's the new jerseys. Okay. Let's say you unveil the new jerseys. Awesome. Who's your model? Okay, Pat Surtain, provided that you don't trade him away. But let's say after the draft, you've already got the new jerseys, and McCarthy is holding up a new Broncos jersey. Are you talking about crashing NFL.com, NFLshop.com? I think you are. If you don't draft a quarterback, hey, next year, guys, hey, whatever. And you don't, hey, Michael Pratt in the 3rd round, or God forbid, Spencer Rattler in the 5th, which is where he should be drafted.
He'll go earlier,
Oh, yeah. It's quarterback desperation. He shouldn't go earlier, but he will. Is that going to sell jerseys? Is that going to move product? I mean, at the end of the day, this is a business. You didn't buy this team. Walton Penner didn't buy the team to be like, just lose a bunch of money, guys. No, they want to be competitive. Greg Penner said at the owners' meetings, they are completely committed to winning. Well, winning means getting your guy and letting Sean Payton craft things his way. Payton didn't need more than last year to get the lay of the land.
Remember, though, on jerseys, of course, all that kind of goes back into a common pool, except kind of what you take from your own store, right? Mm-hmm. Then you're making money on the markup at your own retail shop. So I don't know that like it's a financial thing so much, for getting the quarterback holding up the new jersey. I do think that there is value to like the morale of it and the symbolism of it, that if you've got a new jersey and you have the New Hope episode 4
right,
holding up the jersey, I think there's something tangible and powerful to that as a visual. Although I guess I should point out the downside, which is what if that quarterback fails and then those new jerseys are tied to a quarterback who missed?
Yes.
I mean, he was a year off, but I feel like Jameis Winston in Tampa Bay, for example, is very much tied to the alarm clock uniforms.
The digital numbers.
Those
were terrible, by the way.
Yeah. Whoever thought that was a good idea?
I have no idea.
That's a candidate for ugliest uniform in NFL history.
1,000%. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Easily.
So, and they went with it for 5 years, and then finally they just said, we're basically going back to our old look.
Well, let's talk about the morale of things with Broncos country in this manner, Mace.
Yeah.
Fans are down. Okay. I was at a comic book convention this last weekend, ran into a lot of fans, a lot of Orange and Blue Today fans. Thank you guys for coming out.
But
also, you know what else I
thanks
saw?
to everyone who caught up with me at Coors Field this weekend as well. A lot of Broncos
so
fans and
the public
OBT fans there as well.
Yeah. So you experienced the same thing I did. You know what else I saw a lot of? I saw a lot of Nuggets gear. Okay. Even one of my buddies who works for the NFL and is a Broncos fan was wearing full Nuggets gear. And there's that poll that came out. Rachel talked about it on Denver Sports Daily of like the Avs are more popular. Now, I don't believe that to be the case. Sorry to Avs fans out there, because it's football. Football's the behemoth. Football's the greatest ever. Like, it's the number one sport. It's America's pastime. But like, you just have this down time of Broncos country. And if you get Sean Payton, and Sean Payton has to fall in love. That's the first factor. Okay. If he doesn't love a guy, I don't want him forcing this with McCarthy or May or Nix or whoever. Love a guy, get your guy. But then when you do, this is always going to be Broncos country in the Mile High City. This is always going to be, they're the top dog. They're number one by a rocket and all these other polls and all that. Hey, great. The Avs are whatever. That's fine.
Okay.
I don't believe it. I do not believe it whatsoever.
All right. If we're going into this poll, which by the way was a survey of likely voters, so it was part of a political poll, right, by the Colorado Polling Institute. They asked how many were fans, but then what percentage were committed fans?
Committed fan. Well, hockey fans are crazy. So
26% of the people surveyed were committed Broncos fans, compared with 20% of the Avalanche, 19% of the Rocky, or for the Nuggets, and 12% for the Rockies.
I actually think the Nuggets are higher than that. Like, you see a lot of Nuggets gear out and about in Denver, but Broncos always move the needle. They push things forward, and you get that right quarterback. And it would sell, and you would start seeing a lot of Broncos jerseys, new Broncos jerseys, if they draft a quarterback. With all respect to Brock Bowers, not right away. That's not going to move the needle. No, not at all. And I'm not sure how many players on the current roster are going to move the needle in terms of jerseys. Pat Surtain's pretty much it. Yeah. I don't think we're at a point yet where people are clamoring for Baron Browning, Jonathan Cooper, Nick Bonito jerseys. In all the defensive guys. And offensively, if Courtland, you have a Courtland jersey, you already have it. Yeah. Anyway, by the way, speaking of the offseason, I wanted to throw this at you really quick. There was a quote today that was that hit the media, hit a small paper in Connecticut. Zach Allen from New Canaan, Connecticut. Okay. Fairfield County. I hear there was a movie called New Canaan, Connecticut. When they're on a train. Anyway. Okay. So he's back in New Canaan, and reporter catches up with him for a story. And, it's a standard kind of boilerplate stuff, NFL player returns home. Mm-hmm. In this case, I think he was part of a fundraiser for a local athlete who's running in the Boston Marathon. Right? Oh, great. Nice story. Great local story. Yes. Yeah. At the end, there was of the piece, you can find this quote when he was talked about the changes made by the Broncos this offseason. And Zach Allen says, quote, necessary changes are being made, unquote. Okay. And then he said Sean Payton's awesome, praises the Walton Penner Group and how much they invest in the team. But that necessary changes. And that's from a player and one of the leaders in that locker room right now is Zach Allen. So what do you sense then? Do you sense that a lot of players on the team kind of feel that way, and that when they walk in and come together for the first time,
they're going to feel better about the locker room and the team than they did last year.
Yeah. And coming from Zach Allen, and I've softened my stance on him after you and I've talked about him, because he doesn't tell us a whole lot. So for him to say that, that's actually probably more than he told us all year long in a weekly interview basis. Like,
he's a good guy. He's
good
guarded
guy,
publicly.
good dude. He's very guarded.
Yeah,
He doesn't tell you a whole lot, doesn't warm up to you, which is fine. Some players just don't.
That's another reason why when I saw that quote this morning, I was like, whoa. Necessary changes are being made.
I think being is an active statement.
So the quarterback it's fluid. It's in the process.
Yes.
And we are 2.5 weeks away from that process, hopefully reaching a resolution.
We obsess over the quarterback for the Broncos. Imagine the players. Imagine the conversations the offensive linemen are having.
Oh, back at the Super Bowl, I asked Alex Singleton about it, and he's like, we kind of cut the quarterback conversation off of our group text that we have as linebackers because it just got to be too much. You know, it's what everyone wants to know, but you don't have a lot of control over it.
Right.
And if you're focused on that, you're not focused on doing your job. So I think there's a lot of layers. Necessary changes are being made. There are a lot of layers to those 5 words.
Very much so. Very much so. And I'll tease it for tomorrow's show because I know you're on a tight schedule and we're about done for today. But again, that's an active word. Necessary changes are being made. I think there's one other change that could happen maybe after the draft, but that's for tomorrow's show.
That is a heck of a tease, my friend.
Well, you know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. But how much does it cost to move up? Mace, I'm a I don't care guy. To wrap it up, do you have a breaking point? 4 first rounders is ridiculous. It's not going to be that. 3 first rounders, I'm fine with. Do you disagree?
Yeah, I wouldn't go 4 first rounders.
Is 3 okay?
Reluctantly, yes.
Is 1 and
my goal is to have 3 first rounders and not have any second rounders at least. I don't want this to be like 3 first rounders and 2 second rounders. Then it's like, whoa,
What if it was 12 and Surtain? I don't think that gets the deal done, but what
about 12 Surtain and a 2? Like next year's 2.
I don't want to give up Surtain, but yeah,
I don't either.
Surtain should be worth 2 first rounders. So
the question is he? I mean, we saw the deal that Kansas City got for Jarrett Stidham. That being said, a couple of things on that. Number one, he's already in the free agent process, and of course, they put the franchise tag on him. So by doing that, the Chiefs are basically saying, okay, we're just trying to get more than we would get back if we let him walk for a comp pick a year from now. So there's that. The other thing is, obviously, you're signing him to a new big deal, whereas with Pat Surtain, there's this year, there's the 5th-year option, which would also be below market value. So Pat Surtain is worth substantially more than Snead on the market. The question is it the equivalent of 2 firsts, like the Jalen Ramsey trade a few years ago, or as the market winds have shifted, is it down to 1 first? That's a question worth asking.
We shall see. He is Andrew Mason, and I am Cecil Lammey, and I think that's the wrap for today, right?
I think so.
But first,
we got more. There's another layer to this discussion as well that I think you teased, and another thing that I've been thinking about. We'll talk about tomorrow.
Thoughts to ponder with Andrew
Put it
Mason.
this way. I mean, is there such thing as a compromise?
I want to give you my answer now, but we won't. We'll save that for tomorrow's
That's
show.
Tuesday's show.
In the meantime, help us out on YouTube. How do you do that, Mace?
Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you never miss a vid. Boom. What did they say? Man. Do you remember, was it NBA Jam? Boom, shakalaka laka.
Of course.
Yes.
He's on fire. That's tomorrow's show. We'll have some fire on that. Joey's young enough. He can say fire. I'm too old to say fire. That's fire. Or capping. Do you say any of the new kid lingo?
I'll say fire, but I don't do capping.
Don't say fire or cap.
What's wrong with fire?
We're too old.
I don't know. I saw John Oliver say it. Isn't he about our age?
I'll save my opinion on John Oliver for another show. There's Joe.
Another show. It's not a sports show.
That's not our show.
Yes.
He's Mace. I'm Cecil. OBT's a BFD. Peace and grace to you all. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned and stay frosty.